Let's launch it up. Welcome, this is Rocknrollsailor with a dry audio read, so no music. Basically just lying on my big air bed with a microphone hanging above, reading a book I wrote about a year ago called Cityjungle, Nomads. By far the most psychedelic thing that came out of my pen. So if you've read or heard any of my other stuff, that's goes a long way in saying what you might be getting into. Cityjungle Nomads, it's called. It was written in February 2020. Subtitle is, of course it's bullshit, I'm not an ox. Right, let's get into it. I just realized I'm not afraid of having a future anymore. Multiple even. It's just I didn't ever realize I was afraid to have one. And many futures. I was so distracted by the vital aspects of getting away from a past that kept engulfing itself in a dark, unmemorable, quite busy having to survive the moment. Figured that most logically that would turn out easiest if I learned to live in that very moment. Time and time again. Different moments. Sometimes the seemingly unique common characteristic between them being that they are moments in the moment. A dream within a dream. Awareness of being. Expression and impression combining into an experience where being perceived in any other way but your own randomized perspectives is kind of a natural given. Since you take a solitary view, nothing will understand you but your own legs. So may you have them strong and dancing, and if not, wheelchairs are speed machines, so make it run. So yeah, patronizing versus femdom. I mean, sadly, both pick on whom they perceive as either weak or to be weakened, and surprisingly often both, in a rather sickening, from my perspective at least, personal favorite blend and flavor. So basically, and excuse the term, but I need one, nice guys get harassed over... face it, there's no word that hasn't been abused in the battle between the sexes, and sadly so, because I don't want to stop talking. I'm all for inventing new words, phrasings, and yes please double entendres. You know, that dynamic dance where bodies don't touch while the force field send tonalities through vocal cords that betray the seeming banality of the conversation. It's a don't touch, don't discharge the potency sort of snail-paced spiral DNA where you get strings plucked and notes exchanged and everything's all and always up for interpretation and reinterpretation. Fortunately, and frighteningly. Oh how, oh why, oh sure, didn't I see, was, wasn't, was it actually meant to be? In all its dissipating factuality, whose movie were we in? Spider webcams for single-minded sweetness junkies, watching the human flies stacked and crawling, shoving and sprawling, waiting for a tremor on the line, hollers in the urban jungle canyons, clickbait booby traps, undermining the grapevine crackling with quantum static and rainbow noise probabilities, where every preconception is finally fucked in some shape or form in wankable, yankable portions of porn. Identify if you want to try. Letting go is just a zap away. Parallel universes, multiple screens, wax the sofa, it's time to surf. Jumping vibes like a short-circuit radio, stirring random conversations into a cut-up, powdered and fine, pixel dust, as the facets of reality circle and combine through moments in space, moments at a time. Speed up the experience. Loosen the grip on your thoughts till you hear a rumble rolling in from inner distances. The roar of a growing, free-flowing, compassionate stream of consciousness, washing through like light through wind-blown shutters, streams of data, blinkering lights along neural pathways as night settles the urban jungle sidewalk culture into a splish-splosh, gut-soaking winter drizzle. And cars jump in puddles like enthusiastic toddlers. Let's make fountains and scatter them with light. Headlights, streetlights, stoplights, go-go signs. Light a go-go in the dark of night. Funeral wake for yet another day. Forever gone, but who keeps the candle lit till morn has come to pass? Amidst the city lights, neon flashes like buoys guiding you to birth and tie up in conversation at the bar. For a while. Run a tap, don't tap your fingers. Percussion, concussion beats in every noise that knives the idea that for a second, split second, you weren't there. The roaring stream now like blood in a race, rampage sex craze underpinned by the steady drone of four-wheeled reverse gas chambers. In immobility we are one, as the city's clogged arteries resemble the health status of them that designed them. Another bypass to the bypass, as death and chaos start juggling with fire. Burning nerves within, burning sinew from bone, this bioelectric sensory repolarization that engenders itself upon frequent frequency jumps, surfing the cosmic radio waves. Courage to the cowards, to stop acting like they're brave. Turning 360 degrees in the cemented shadows while walking down the streets. Where did I park my consciousness tonight? And what color am I? Sex orange? Grounded red? Violetly floating, laughing high, way overhead? Where am I in my mind space that makes that never ever really I feel the face beyond embracing energies, embodiment, sustaining dynamics like a transformer running up the current, lights blinking up and down neural highways cruising urban jungle nights. I miss the wild monkeys and ludicrous barroom fights, the drunk women stealing taxis by paying with soiled knickers thrown between windshield wipers, raised heel in claw grip hand. Drive off, motherfucker, drive on, drive off, drive on, drive off, drive on, drive off. Means the same fucking thing. Drive, 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 never the same, always the same. Keep a hand on the wheel of time, cruising down, sliding through, looking at crazy in the rearview mirror. Ghost riders for progress. Burning tires, blowing smoke in that hot pan glare when you're laughing so fast no one ever heard the joke in the twilight. As life changes guard with car horns and owl hoots, and through the pavement the unstoppable weed is coming through cracks in glass cages, cracks through fault lines under memory lane. Feel the cherished corpses breathing feelings long shut down, when graciously, yet hardly, having taken flight. Birds shrieking in the dead of night. Fright is existential when dozing perched upon a branch, I reckon. Sitting ducks upon a tightrope, forever gambling and debating their chance of a glimpse of liberating hope. Pedestrians lost for crossroads, overpass, no car pass, underpass, no pass class. Loitering dreams hanging out like trees, Watchmen's original urban jungle wildlife re-originating. Them times I give time to times long gone, still wanting to breathe a little starlight in their own sweet time. So people calling me an asshole makes me wonder how that's supposed to be a novelty. Like I ain't been wiping it since I could. Like you're either an asshole or you're full of shit. Just don't dump on another. Wipe your ass and get on with it. Ain't no fuss. Just makes me wonder how long people will believe this social anal phase to be in any way a shame. You see, defecating the past leaves a hungry space for fresh realities. Quoi en penser lorsque les peintures sont toujours là, mais les murs depuis longtemps partis? On pend personne des arbres ce temps-ci, pas dans mes forêts cérébrales. Quoi faire des mémoires fauves, peints en parlots, en tableaux, parlant d'une réalité psychédélique dans le cirque du quotidien? Cityjungle Nomads. Since worldwide travel enables millions to indulge in their wanderlust, the balance between sedentary and nomadic has definitely taken a dynamic swing. Nomads, refugees, expats, sofa surfers, ex-lovers stuck around ex-lovers' towns, actual nomads, traveling through social circles, never staying long, breaking up camp, credit card in hand, luggage never to outside the torso load. That seems rather forgotten. From camels to taxi drivers, caravans encircling cities crawling towards that exit into the bloodstream, fresh hope, fresh flesh, fresh desire, fresh potential for sex. Creative's juices mix in with the grocery trucks carting fresh fruit to the smoothie bars as the bottlenecks and roundabout nooses give recurrent stops a need for mental detours, cooler fins for the overheating emo breaks. Give me a puzzle a little less complicated than either traffic or my life in specific. Give me a dynamic. Rhythm riders pulsing through the street like Morse code messages, edging and wedging through the data stream of inner city madness, that mix of anthill and rat's maze, that labyrinth of thresholds and trapdoors and traffic signs, billboards for every extreme normality has to offer, screaming their subverted messages over the drab rumble of tires and tarmac being ground to dust, the sticky residue coating lungs where coal smogs and cigarettes failed yet to hit them. Sirens and saxophones highlighting the night, voicing death and desire to outlive oneself. How willing are you to sacrifice your every moment up to now to the glowing embers of tomorrow? Throw yourself into the fire of existence and find out how you burn the past away. No falling star, space debris set aglow in the night sky, drawn in by the spotlight gravitas of someone's fleeting interest in you. The perspectives you offer by staring at you. Please don't move. Petrify momentarily, then always be my friend that way. No way. Give me a dynamic, give it space to flow where the shit is going to blow, and it ain't no job, and yeah, it's gonna suck and not the way you like it. Imagine there's idiots out there sticking their cock in a vacuum cleaner, wondering why they're not getting laid. Why? Because chihuahuas live forever, mate, to whom I really can't relate. Nor looking back lest you freeze your gyrations of consecutive sequences and tilt the helm, sending your inadvertently moon miles off track through the pleasant dark voids of uncharted mind space, directed happy horizons, wildflowers, reminding passion is also simply gorgeous with its vagrant fragrances of detest and delight. Test to detest? No. No, the voyant voicer sang. Detest to test. Life is way more fun that way. And was. So rolling in its rhythm, no scenarios on stage. Let the wind mishmashing conversations carry you words. Let the poses of ragdolls and mannequins ever prompt you a stance to take. In the urban jungle high street facade academy, Faces like abandoned apartments over pimped-up chest-sized branding stamps in a time where motor gangs get fined for wearing their own tags. Big Biz is cattle stamping entire herds of believers in the message behind emblazoning their name, instead of, for instance, your own, on your breast. And that message then supposedly comes down to believe in yourself. To me, this is post-religious mass therapy through commerce. Because face it, by now we relate to the world through the products we buy. And what is religion but how you relate to life? Post-religious traumatic stress. Post-war trauma. Post being ripped into God and the devil for centuries bipolar disorder. Posted on social media trauma. Post-traumatic stress trauma. I was never so shocked as the first time I really laughed. Positive trauma, anybody? Like overheating after hypothermia? Let's let social decompression take its time, as we in stage let the rising waters brainwash the worlds from this blood-encrusted stain of disdain over our natural being here. Laying down the groove. The consistency is essential as the DJ lays down the baseline for the time spent in space. Bars are space capsules. We're a play planet for alien species to come experience each other in a shareable, most commonly agreeable demeanor. How about that one? Would explain the species within the species feeling, the constantly shared shiver of alienation, as well as the let's enjoy our time here holiday abandon. Just saying. Peaceful explanations for our current ease of existence also abide in plenty. But anyway. Bars are space capsules, frequency traveling to planet Funkadelic on the sexy Sunday rock and roll underground, blues playing with the clouds as tears shower the country in winters of remorse, while whales dive deep through the decaying plastic labyrinth, looking for the kraken that is real. There's a portrait there of the kraken that ate me, there in my collection of unsold art. Not a Dorian Gray thingy, more watch the kraken again and remember the time you died, oh pirate, at 3,000 meters deep, compressed to naught but an atomary sense of awareness, yet one wholehearted laughter, as the colliding ships above exploded in an ambush, harakiri decided on as only pirates of the glowing heart can do, laughing and kissing each other farewell as we laid down the bombs and fused every powder keg together, smashing crockery and crystal glasses for shrapnel amidst the splinter arrows, all but one glass each, a final toast on salty waters. Laugh as you drip one crystal tear for life into your glass, stir the spirits, and as the enemy draws near, play old faces and faces of death. And laugh as you get blown overboard in the heat of assault, with your organs flying out of ripped skin no longer able to contain you. Then in honest reflection, as you watch and wonder your stomach reach the water, followed by a string of entrails, followed by your feet, you wonder how you were able to contain yourself this long in the first place. I burst out laughing at the memory. They came for the bounty on our heads. We dropped the loot with Grandpa La Opa in West Africa instead. Slave cash back to the orphan tribes, motherfuckers. Meanwhile, load that cargo with crap and gunpowder. Let them get us anyways. We're all dying of the sif and fed up with the dance, feeling like salted cod ever marinated in suspicious spirits. Let's dance upon the winds of time. Let's try this floating bombs idea of mine. Let's swim out under and hook them keels, then sit smoking on deck, dancing them old passage reels. See, my friends are off their heads, that's why they remind me of me. My friends are not all there, that's how it's lovely to be friends to care. My friends are lonely assholes, yet I don't need to watch them crap. I'm quite used by now, the endless public ass wiping, 'cause we all should give a shit. And I don't even care too much. Should with my writing you be wiping your mind's spacious butt. But you better damn don't think I'll be there to hold the roll. The beats and the rhythms, the run and the rhyme. These busy streets always filled with nonsensical haste, while the pavements set the scene for all the live drama going to waste, drifting through minds and bodies till, yet again, there's a fight on that street corner. Boy raped down that alley. Another atrociously inexplicable case of love at first sight under that medieval arch. The beats rolling invisibly through time, rhythms of the ancestors of spaces, urban jungle guardians of places, their testament written on walls and circuit boxes, flower bouquets on bent lampposts, graffiti to the local loyals speaking in tongues liturgically spread across barrios and bazaars, high mats and half rooms, surgically stitching cultures together in layered tags, multifaceted ragdoll urban jungle breeding vapors of ill-digested dreamings, homeless hobo hippie hermit, yogi, punk on the streets, in roughed-out jeans and boots made to crash in. Fuck you all is a safe space meant for living in, at all times. From that perspective, kindness is an optional behavioral communication form if the frequencies can modulate the vibes, aka fuck you, can we get some shit done? Keep it rolling. Places to talk to, things to meet, people to do, or something like that. Keep it rolling. Taxi stands. Symbols of our ability to go anywhere left running idle on the curb. Till you get into things, then all depends on how far you want to go, how the starstruck traffic's gonna flow, and how about your pocket full of dough. Everybody trying to make that hustle turning crumbs into dough, like alchemists questing to turn lead into gold, and any fetish will do as a sacred tool of transformation. So yeah, next time you want to utter the word normal as somewhat of a valid argument, I recall a guy getting off on his mistress filling his urinary tract to a catheter she was pissing in. High price normal to him. I recall a lady traveling a section of Africa where bus fare was paid in bullets of popular caliber. Normal there and then. I recall people bowing to dictators' portraits, and I recall talking to the son of a stone sculptor for years in tyranny's service, hearing him describe his dad's face when the toppling of his greatest works of art felt like the man's greatest pièce de résistance ever, the toppling of normality, because that's normal, for real. The emptiness, the vacancy of nighttime streets where tiles seem to scream, "Look, space now, you can all pass." The shops are empty. No one there but the models of desire molded into portable effigies of the lights, the luxury, the feeling bright and on top of things. Empty yet full of desire sleeps on cardboard and in luxury hotels alike. Empty yet full of desire doesn't sleep at all. Life's never enough, that's why we breed. That's how lust is love, like sushi is fish. That's how key on the door is maybe a house, but nowhere near a home. Maybe yet, maybe never is how our achievements go. Nearly done, run out, just can't stomach it no more. Spending time lying on the floor is part of staple diet in the urban jungle. Well, yeah, really. Far from all eyes or all over the dorm, drunk on life, knocked off your feet, imagining the stars above, the ceiling and the flats and the smog bubble and the clouds above that, all of that. Meanwhile, the ricocheting beams of trailing headlights search for fugitive faces and renegade dreams, hiding in the cracked plaster, whitewashing the cramped ceiling overhead. Memories and masks of tomorrow, the sleepless fridge cooling your food for thought. As the glass ceiling breaks, the mirror shatters, and you come up for air. Moon songs to the whales, echoed in orgasms and howling wolves, riding the subconscious way. The morphing mishmash brainwaves on the coasts of mind's islands. A surf so lethal, it's a rebirth guaranteed spice. I'm fed up with sugar junkies telling me to be sweet. Fuck off and let me smoke and cook and growl and appreciate the spice of life. No idea how people fail to appreciate how hypocrisy is the most obnoxious behavior like ever. Want to be polite? Start by being fucking real. No nuclear split between how you think and feel. Live it now, you're dying anyway, thanks to organic sweet decay. Let the now take you there, here, now, and here. That moment I stumbled upon your horizon with ragged face and my past all torn. Did you perceive me to be a shipwrecked sailor, awash and barely alive, after lightning storms of raging love? By Fortuna's grace from the depths set free with a whale-song heartbeat, a wilder destiny to meet? Well, I was, and thank you, dear, for the warm-hearted silly giggles and the glow of skin sizzling near. That moment you realize horizons keep turning. Trust you'll find solace for your yearning to care, to hold the light and squeeze a hand, to feel the love just one-on-one. Be the one on the edge of your horizons, and brave the fear to go beyond, as I sail on through my crazy life. Shipwreck no more, for I may calm my seas with steady gaze upon the storm. Time and tarmac somehow look the same, a dark shine, sticky to the touch yet rock hard and undeniable upon impact, and oh what impact they have. These roads to nowhere where destiny's song is the siren of the endless, destinations beating the miles along a strong wide line defining the heart's shoulders and desire's protruding collarbones as she screams the wheels through the bends of mind time. Lifetimes long is the road, and where most spend a deep night in graveyard motels, there's those that love that loneliness of rides the most, through the inner core of being and out the other end, endlessly chopped up and put back together again differently, toy, toy, toy. Ever seen demons play pass the head around with yours? It's a boiling laughter rising up inside makes you see it's all such funny visual of how you torture yourself to sleep amidst the dreamtime miracles around, demonizing yourself as lazy as the devil, as fickle as the damn wind, as unsteady as a top-heavy mind being cloistered in the head. The head, off with his head, and let's play a kick-around game with everything you care to portray as you, till you realize that since you're watching, there must be sockets around those lighthouse eyes, and thus a cave, a bone-shielded womb, a skull, overgrowing itself with wandering vines, sinews, and bloodthirsty muscle. It's dying all the time on a molecular level, feeling the blood cart off detritus like the garbage truck on the 6 a.m. neighborhood round. That makes you appreciate the constant recreational rewriting of history, read like an ever-enduring mantra of existence through embodiment by the ever-gyrating spiral DNA staircase, that inner compass to through Earth, leading you through the mists of emotions as you snake through the crowds and streets alike, through the zones and corridors, elevator rides to sudden awareness levels that grant vistas over mind space like none other, knocking on masters' doors till they dissipate into the windows, turning into birds, swans, and cormorants, seagulls and kingfishers, colibris like eager vaginitarians, stirring for the flowers' love juice, birds ripping the skies apart in colors that like love-making no technique can match. The human eggshell, that border of being you, your social exoskeleton, your box. Crack it. Break it. Trust it. When it breaks, it means you're ready. Maybe not to fly, maybe not even standing just yet. But yeah, ready to wreck it. Crack that shell, knowing in your fears of years, when you wait for them outside to crack you open with the light, either the prime delight is theirs, fangs and synapses devouring you in applause, uproar, stares, and high stakes, or it's a coffin to crack open and lay the heart of a vampire bare, to stab it with a splinter of the ship of fools. Why wait till time is but a rusty tool? Blue skies before nightfall. After a lifetime of rain drawn out through endless clouded thoughts, towering over freedom's fields. Blue skies before nightfall, like a reminder of good times ahead, before dying takes you through the dark again. Blue skies before nightfall is that moment where endless talking to and fro was likely to endly turn into a proper conversation, when the blue shine of lucid living briefly shines through, before that sudden final disillusion when all the other party can muster is a wrong-right duality fighting ring. No concept of circular dynamics in a bipolar force field whatso-fucking-ever. Fuck, I need a shag like a volcano needs to burst, boiling with the love of earth. As everybody runs away to a semblance of safety, let my lava burn down into the valleys of delight. Burning passion, fertile memories to keep you warm long after our horizons let sleep each other, extending sunlight fingers, vainly stretching, caressing, gripping, ripping the veils of dusk, light rummaging through clouds like hands through hair, blue skies before nightfall. That's the color of my eyes, said love. Don't make life hard unless it's a cock, a nipple, a song beating the drool out of the drab, a high five for murdering boredom on the fly, cruising through the coagulating traffic like a blood thinner rolling in fresh oxygen, burning alive like suns and stars closing afar, high voltage spirits booze me bottoms up. Try not losing your cool in the freeze. Hard life on the tarmac. When will the road turn into a runway? Fly, fly, fly away above these stacked up concrete caves. High above, 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 from the thin ice social cool to the thin cold air, granting higher perspectives as you glide on unseen currents with a monk's frozen smile and eyes blue eyes, engulfed by chimeras in the cloud veins, those windswept heralds of storms to come. Flank their direction so you'll be well on the run. City streets, runway of dreams, runaway nightmares, dragged along like ever so many trolley cases, made to break like a holiday romance. Plastic wrappers flying in the winds like worn out, thrown out masks, randomly, preciously let slip. Like knickers in the midst of conversation dropped to the inviting flow. Feet on the ground followed by much more. Runway, funway, let's worship love till beyond its day by pursuing and perusing it, thumbing through each other's lexicon d'amour, caressing valleys and mounts, feeling tendons twitch and jump like snakes. Snakeskin facades, rising above their scattered shadows, hissing through the toxic mix that addicts call the smell of home. Cardboard fix keep it wrapped and under wraps. Prefix health wraps disintegrating in the damp of their plastic wrapper. Condensation. That way you feel the least, you feel the most. Thighs in tight skin wrapped. Let me kiss the lotus flower once and offer more again. Condensing the cloudy mind into fluid motion of energy through energy, watering the eyes while the skull becomes a planetarium-like dome, visionary welcome into the color trance of lucid living. Barf eating rock and roll and bottles and inspiration, spiraling, chittering conversations into the well of words. Could be sat by the river listening to the birds. In the bar, Tree sat playing Q&A at the barrel table where I sat writing. Got briefly as briskly confronted with my question, swap a beer for a listen to my words, and the opening line being, don't make life hard unless it's a cock. The beer came faster than I finished reading 3 pages down, and faster than I ever want to come. Take your time, enjoy the scene while you're making it real, and let it slide like beads of sweat, beads of oil, beats of love, love beads, beads of moments stringed themselves on that necklace, winding like a snake wrapping itself around the neck of time. Time's a bottle, an alchemate once said, then repeat like drinking. Swig it down, sip it slow, gulp, stop, gulp it if that's you, but when you decide to grab it by the neck and break it, you better stand the cut. Cityjungle, drunken kung fu. Shadow boxing like homeless talking to themselves. Pluck the strings, play that inner heart. Pluck the strings and let the flowers grow. Pluck the strings and leave the flowers grow. Leave them to the bees. Go enjoy them in summer loving's hot honeydew breeze, overtaken by that shiver of deliverance buckling the knees, liquid fire stirring in the deep, shiver as we play each other's strings, find a tuning and let the rhythm flow, find a tuning, let the bass beat grow, sex, body, music, shiver as we play each other's strings, tasting the melody we spin throughout the pleasure dance of juggling satisfaction, back and forth between us. Pluck the strings and let the fowl, hens and roosters run wild. I need love and attention, and I can't buy it in any store. That's what's written on the faces of the homeless and the penniless, the 3 weeks of the month lefts. That's what's written on the t-shirts bought at the sports discount and sported cruising down Main Street, aka Social Maiming Street. I need love and attention, and I can't buy it in any store, is what's written screaming discreetly on the branded goods bag carried round with denoted measured step, playing in cash major or minor sentiments. It's written on the billboards, steering consumer compasses. Buy the feel, even when the feel is, I need love and attention and I can't buy it in any store. Love the brand, don't brand the love. The Doppler distancing sound waves of hardly traffic at 4 a.m. Inner city predators hunt offices in daytime, so safe the nighttime is, when only rats and runaway riders scurry along the gutters, trying to outrun the flow of tears, blood, shit, and rain being washed down the streets. TVs left staring out of exhibitionist windows, beds left lonelies while sofas become pods on vibe travel, space capsules going nowhere, cushioned rafts to save us from drowning in the social debris, floating atop our subconscious like the trash upon the sea. Lampposts like sages on crossroads, enlightening the riddle of choice, lining the canals, sharing light reflections on the black waters. The riddle of choice. What next? Some food would be groovy. A mix of discernible flavors only truly binding in the mouth. The palate like a choir singing joy over earthly abundance. The food for the spirit is the experience of modulating the experience, I guess. Bon appetit. From worry to wonder, sliding scale towards the sphere of appreciating life as it is, in its myriad realities. Power search of clarity growing as you're lying in your bed, fed up with masturbating the excess energy away, fed up with grinding through your subdom guilt and shame scenario of the past and coming day, fed up with hoping, wishing, crying, fed up with the tortures of suicidal savior tendencies, fed up with the presumption that any pharma will turn the taste of these moments less bitterly existential, fed up with asking the same questions from the same perspective, till inevitably A few dendrites get together on it, synapses start firing light patterns into the dark of mind space, and inevitably, like a newborn stellar constellation in your firmament, the question leading to questions is born out, opening like a pearly gate. Is that all there is? Life's so silly, I just gotta laugh. Why am I here, and why should that worry me? Might I wake up smiling and remember this? Carry it with me, tucked into the corner of my smile. Keep it alive, refresh, keep the flow, steady as she go, from worry to wonder. It's maybe not a miracle, but it damn sure feels like it. Snapshot, time frame, reality upon reality, multi-track, motion, stop, motion. Sometimes I'm hardly physical, just sitting there unable to either move nor stop the twitching, spasmodic, illogic, crackling, static bioelectric discharges burning through the flesh like lightning storms. Messed up, stitched together motor functions, computing a combined effort to achieve that desired effect. Turn your head a fucking centimeter, face the coffee, and figure out how to lift the fucking cup. Meanwhile, metaphysical, nonsensical observations on the ultimate absurdity in the mix of things turn out to be the most functional of medicine. Snapshot, time frame. I'm dancing a 3-hour jig, wearing holes in the floor. Snapshot, time frame. Walking a tightrope in gym class. The high rope starting with a 4-meter steep up. I walk the low one backwards, no prob. This one I crane my neck and feel the freeze. No longer recollection of how that iced sweat moment lasted, still walking tightrope so many years later, strung between peaks of awareness over carrion-laden battlefields and ruins of mindsets no longer lived in. Over clover fields and freshly sprouting forests of natural green thriving emo logic, yet too fresh to tread on, too young to support even your most light-hearted, curious, airy thought step. Feel new awareness grow, pluck the tight ropes, walk the strings, as butterflies orgy in your gut, stirring for you to be, on impulse, your own monarch, spreading that butterfly effect. Rippling laughter breaks the cramps of mind and body time and time again. Rag monsters' advice and plea, keep me in stitches, make me laugh, this absurdity of existential proportions. Snapshot, time frame. Stone cut sitting in a chair watching time die on stage, while in the orchestra pit, kids are contact miking each other to claim their stake in the noise that's the breeding rustle of an insomniac city. Wild, shrieking, hobbling, defunct Cityjungle hermits, fighting demons no one sees nor dares to feel. Drunken kung fu in the spirit realm, trying to stop minds from going down the drain. The monks, ascetics, avatars, ronins, and yogis of the West live in the gutters of derision, getting neither followers nor a 3-day holy place to rest. How could they be acknowledged when a body fails to recognize the mind, when they fail by lack of parameters, social space, mental provision, to recognize the relinquishing, the fasting, the braving the elements on power of mind, the utter minimalism? Is because through the years where church and military soaked up the solitaries, abstinence and obstinate, the gays and soprano gigglers, the individual wild searcher spirits became outcasts, pirates, bartenders, mad hatters, writers, musicians, and the occasional business bastard. And is it really that hard to grasp that once that squeezing half-two hand has lost its grip on who you are and where you stand, the ease of winding down to the bare necessities can sweetly tunnel down your future like chasing the dragon down the endless arched pipe. Opium for the pain is a one-way ticket to insane. The more your own life simplifies itself to a natural driven flow, the simpler sharing gets to be. Whiskey, weed, and women, all I ever need. Nah, I'm a sucker for fresh tastes. But yeah, women, weed, and whiskey, they keep me off my feet. On my feet. Women, weed, and whiskey, they keep me on my feet, even as they lay me down, breathing love into my chest. Women, weed, and whiskey, Jane, Lilith, and John. Just like most, they'll tap you when you're lost and never let on when, what, and whom you found. I go. Figure. Go figure it out, mental maddening mathematics, trigonometry of being. Perspectives on the depth of every wave rolling through ever-doubling Doppler echo calculations, uplifting emotions while you sink through your feet, inner dimensions multiplying as you allow for more and more probabilities in your mix of intertwining realities, lifelines, deadlines, pluck the strings. There's no audience between you and eternity, awareness the only light in the house. Wildflowers growing fragrant melodies from a vacuum of not being. Notes, bars, notes, nodes, scales, all balancing each other out magically throughout the partition. Fucked up minds washed up on the curb, wearing plastic harnesses, carrying cardboard knives and paper shields. XL crisp bag for a tinfoil hat hidden cleverly under a threadbare woolly cap. They might think I'm mad, stop me from protecting himself. He confides behind the back of his hand, covered in grime like bark. Protection from what? I proffer. The question like a koan hitting him dead between the eyes. Staring like a ghost warrior statue at the doors of perception, he monkeys off to the side, finding a tree to hide this discomforting, dissonant buzz under, this buzz in the skull. It's been so long, he was so diligently, solitarily strong as only weakness can be, he forgot the source of fright. So the devaluation of his premise for lifelong calculations, silently like an ice-hot katana, slices through the fabric of which his ragged mind made up itself, leaving him wondering, existential pain freezing the vocal cords, split-second eons before the scream of screams would have ripped him limb from limb, leading him through the loss and dismemberment in thundering silence, pain like lightning sending jolts through any polarity, antagonism past, present, burned from the nerve ends, identification pattern no more. Yet he breathes. Like woodworm crawling from a rotten log, I see him slither from his pile of rags, ripped and scattered in a frenzy of salvation through the wormhole of existential being, leaving a slime trail down the street like oozing restaurant garbage bags, the fumes of putrefied thoughts trailing, mingling with exhaust gases and pitbull farts, the volatile low-hanging gas that swamps the city on dank days. Lucifer looking for matches on dating sites. I smell spontaneous combustion being promoted to minority groups to keep them out of the orchestra. But hey people, there's no director, dictator, stick-in-your-eye narcissism mediator, and who can sing your tune but you? Pluck the strings, strum the vocal cords, wildflower melodies, dance like a bee, create ripples like a butterfly, crack the egg and wreck that shell. Let gravity take that leaden past from off your shoulders. On the moon, we don't call it walking anyway. Take a leave from normality never to return. If the boss don't notice that glisten in your eye as you say goodbye till Monday never comes, it just goes to show they never knew ya anyways, so you may safely step into the unknown, safely in the knowledge that you were there already all the time. Why wait till they surprise you when you can provide the ultimate? You surprise you. You surpass you, you break through the surface, you do you better than anyone. That's the only best you'll ever get. Complete and utter you. So fucked is a sex life when people get too fucked up to have one or any at all. I meet more and more young women that feel too uncomfortable about the whole thing. More and more people sleeping in their clothes like a safety skin. A barrier to the body-mind, as if they would be trespassers themselves should they allow their skin to breathe, even by themselves, in their flats and condos, like homeless do out of freezing necessity. Meanwhile, jacking off to porn seems the most likely sex life for guys these days. like a sexual social anesthetic. Numb that devil in your crutch. Yet I don't want to imagine what it's like for a woman to have to deal with a guy that actually thinks that porn is a sex manual and wank trained to come ASAH as soon as hard on. Meanwhile, the dildo diversity keeps growing. So aggressive is the current perception of masculinity, I find it sickening and a fucking most complete turnoff. And the fucked up thing is, even like outside that complete fucking, male macho fucking thing, which is, where I'm living, don't bother trying to explain you're not like them, because it'll only make it worse. I mean, you can scrap each and every classic caring phrase from your vocabulary because they've become suspicious and incendiary. I mean, there's sure to be a ruse leading to abuse, seems the prevalent interpretation, and it drives me straight into the arms of Lady Melancholy, just crying over the loss of tenderness and soft appreciation. Scared to scar the wounded souls around me and exponentially lost for words and gestures and ways to connect that don't get misconstrued in a Gordian knot till no other option than to stand and take the cut. And then it's really coming down to taking the cut without castration is the trick here. Because if a woman now decides to reverse toxic patronizing by appropriating similar behavior towards men that don't identify with the male pig variety, we're likely steering towards total abuse of the friendly and kind regardless of gender. Just abusive men and women trashing the rest into submission. Man-dom, fem-dom, dumb, dumb, dumb. Time to speak up. Meanwhile, nature turns me on. Curiosity. Laughter. A lust for life. And female sexuality is on the public rise, with women making porn they-like. And the more everyone simply would admit to global confusion in a general and sexual sense, I guess the less genitals are likely to get severed and sent skywards like a ghost lamp or thrown to the dogs. Along with that simple joy of thrusting, love-making, allowing attraction to draw partners into a pleasure space created out of a vacuum of not being. We only realize by active participation, feeding, being to the scene, matching probabilities like enzymes in the passionate ursoup of existence, bioelectric circuitry on the glow, exchanging existential desire for deliverance to being great. Kill your idols is suicidal, and so is the current interpretation of ego death. How are we going to grow if we don't acknowledge being great? We are exquisitely wonderful creatures, marvelous capabilities, amazing powers of transformation even through simple observation. Ego means I am, and yes to that. After centuries of enforced static identification with mortal sin just for being alive, this surge of self-awareness and inner discovery looks like a mass therapy, a decompression stop to adjust to the lighter air of feeling free to interpret and exercise existence as thou seest fit to be. And that freedom is so real, it's obviously terrifying as hell. Subconscious awareness that ages of demonization of being natural, sexual, simply individual and free has grafted the ugliest of masks onto the most beautiful of feelings, belonging on earth, as it is the Garden of Eden, knowledge of beauty without therefore feeling the need to consume, appropriate, own, destroy, and diminish to a lesser form. Being full of yourself is a natural given, as is letting go of identification with before the now. Renew your being, refresh, refresh, refresh. Grow unabashed into your yet unknown ideal self. And every time people start saying you're too much, too big, too real, check your bearings. Don't impose, don't abdicate from self-empowerment though. It just means your energy is challenging their growth and strengthening of embodiment. Permutational frequencies that combine into life patterns, rhythms, hearts dance. So don't kill your idols. Find ideality within, rather than flatlining public idealism and expecting gratification, remuneration, sweet sedation from the reality that screams forever evolution. On an ever-revolving planet in a spinning solar system, part of a swirling galaxy spiraling through a universe that breeds compassion. So instead of picking what matters and what matters not, as undeniably as it may bite us, how about matter-antimatter appreciation of the fluidity of form and content, and the fact that in this city jungle, as in the wild woods deep, our minds are nomadic by nature, being as curious as we are. So why go sit in a cave waiting for enlightenment? Cityjungle full of stacked up caves that include water, heat, and even online meditations. Why go talk to the animals and trees when it's the vegetative and animist sides of people that need addressing? Why wear robes when free clothes are a constant? Why act like anything is less than naturally divine in spirit? And speaking of spirits, time for a shot. Spirituality is as inseparably integral to any form as is sexuality to physical existence. Right, the snake, Shakti, Kundalini, rock and roll religion, dance, comical cosmos. Welcome to Cosmopolitania, a city jungle full of life. Instead of venturing out into the woods, let's bring the woods back to our jungle. Orchids lining Main Street, food forest barrio parks, rainwater waterfalls splashing into swimming lakes down in the basement, hanging gardens of delight topping skyscrapers with mega slides down to those lakes. The fun of creative existence must overtake this rigidity of imprisonment in seeming impotence for fear of the omnipotence that we actually embody. Our shadow force still outweighs our daring to be as light and dark as energy is. Yet, being enlightened can take a few lifetimes to get used to, so die laughing for a smiling rebirth. And please stay alive while you're at it. All the fun yet tedious job of moving into a fresh body of character and karma, just take a deep breath. Go through zero and feel the world come into a fresh focus, spanning 360 cognition of time and space and time. Still, you. Totally, gradually, new. Wild you. The wildflower way to self-realization. Every breath a seed of joyous curiosity. City jungle nomads. The moves people make. The ritual dances of coffee making and picking clothes. Transporting themselves between spheres of home and work. Dimensions of being needy and needed that somehow feed into the common narrative chiseled into pavement slabs and monuments to those that stuck out their neck and huzzah, there was a head on top firmly attached and voicing futures for the masses, challenging the decrepit hegemony of the classes, like trying to wriggle out from underneath the slobbering lover passed out upon heaviest of orgasm. And for your information, yes, women do that too. I'm usually the one left awake after the pleasure ride to Orchid Space, surfing light waves in the sky while the wind runs laps around the block, drawing lines into the sand like a surrealist Zen monk, raking the pebbles into fresh random meaning. Change, proof of existence, profoundly futile, seriously absurd. Orgy of butterflies, materialized laughter amidst the bricks and concrete conundrums. You cannot occupy if you don't exist. If you don't dwell in the ruins of crumbling mindsets, you'll be their undoing, not their dust. You won't be occupied if you're full of you. Nomadic minds traveling from reason to emotion, taking a rest in the shade of great deeds before setting off on a quest to dance hall delights, traveling through centuries of architecture shaping the bones of the city, heaven and hell hardly a bus ride apart, ever in limbo over where to get off and what to get off on. What gets you off turns you on. Life wire, birds on the wire. Telegraph, autograph, proof of existence, write a book, be the cook. It's your head on the plate. Platter, tatter, shatter. Like movie bottles made of sugar. Sour sweet situations devouring us as story morsels feeding the grand and intricate web of words that name our lives into being. Appreciate the capacity to dislabel, research and rename your inner potentials as you witness parameters shift, trembling through the voids of incomprehension till life mirror constellations deliver you into a new world. Brave the system paranoia of omnipotence. We're already breathing stardust, each and every way, as the hum of street lights blurs the difference between night and day. Where's the nightlife gone? Beyond the drunken lover's song, where's the timeless palaver gone, the stirring fire in hearts, loins, and rusted barrels? Where's the all-night diners with their bottomless coffee and flat-feet matron waitresses and patron saints of 4 a.m. roast sandwiches? Where's the bars for melancholy's bluesy jazz court? No wonder people feel depressed when strictly daytime productivity is kept on proud and loud display, while in the dark of night, instinct assures we all are free to find our way. Smiles like doors left ajar underneath a laughing lantern, mocking your despair amidst the shadows cast and held so dear. Come in, and embrace your fear. Anxiety, anxious energy, passionately wanting to reassure you life is a thrilling existence, vibrating like drum skins underneath the vellum sky. Paper plane your thoughts like samizdat kamikaze, love letters to the trolls saying birds need no bridges, guard them all you like. Solve your own riddles and brave, knowing the answers ever yet. Speak your truth, as the word loves to be said. Changing lifestyle, crawling out of cocoon normality, dying all the time. Traveling on from low school to high school, old school to new. Brew a fresh cup, or brew a fresh pine, brew a fresh barrel to share as a feast. Cityjungle hermit, solitary in the center, all one in the crowd. Solitary in the center, all one and feeling proud to be particle and wave simultaneously. Notes and music, how else would the dance become the sacredly savage rhythm of your feet? Stirring heartbeats, that Cityjungle nomadic rumble. Manifest fists like Icarus drowning in pools of their own blood. Hands for holding, hands for molding, hands to bless in sensuous caress, hands to hold this book and close it upon reading, hands to then pass it on to the next reader, needing to be read on a worn-out bench in a spooky park on the edge of yesterday's graveyard. Not yet, though. Famous last words of an inquisitive being, not yet. This book isn't done yet. Mixing yogis with homeless, deep spirit with sex and drugs and rock and roll. Talking about being blown to shit by your own devices, being eaten by a kraken that gets eaten by a sperm whale that molds your conscience with his in hypertone mystic songs in reverence of Earth Mother, the crystal ship, till on the banks of rebirth you get blindfolded and led into a cave where the snake eats you alive, wraps you in an egg, and stores you in a witchy ovary somewhere on Earth. All that is just not done. Except I just did, so fuck it, chew it, talk about it, live your own, and up. Thanks to being, for being, from being. That was part 1. Cityjungle Nomads.
Yeah, had a little break there. Bit of a sandwich. Time to roll a spliff. Another shot of bush kebab. And we're back with part 2 of Cityjungle Nomads, which is called Cityjungle Animists, aka walking through walls may leave you plastered. Scrumptious, sedative, sexual, serious, silly novel. This one actually starts with a very fucking important point that I find myself having to fucking explain over and over again. It's not that I presume to be better than anyone else. That would annul the experience. Besides, the premise was always just that. Even though it gets forgotten, Christ wasn't a Christian, Buddha not a Buddhist, Muhammad not a Muslim. In my view, and if anything, they were seekers. Seekers beyond the surface of common normality or reality. And that the premise was always just that, is exactly that. It's not about being better than anybody else. It's not even about being better than yourself. To me, it seemed a rather logical investigation if there is such a state of being as is referenced to be bliss or satori or full comprehension or deepest dynamic understanding, then it must be omnipresent. Sort of like a backbeat, the true metronome, the inherent magnetism of natural logic, drawing in the souls hungry for lotus nectar. Yet probability suggests there might be those unaware of their inner peace, unaware even of their generating and amplifying the finest of frequencies. For undisturbed since birth, they simply innocently get to shine, soothe, and stimulate their lifetimes long. Probably also that reaching that state of being known as bliss or satori wouldn't be geographically limited to, say, India or Tibet or a monastery or at a guru's feet. I reckon, therefore, and I still do, that so I reckon then and still do that reaching that level of full compassionate awareness wouldn't feel like an accomplishment by then, more like an inner homecoming, a release perhaps, an instinctive realization and letting go. And B, it could just as likely visit a soul in between states of life and death, in dream zones strengthening the connective frequencies, equally likely to happen to a mail deliverer on daily rounds as to a monk during daily prayer, as it's all supposedly a mind construct to distract us from what's really going on. Pretty much like we pride ourselves over the mess we produce with 5% of our brain while the 95% do all the freaking work. It's equally zen to see the mysteries unfold while staring at a lotus flower than at a shiny moist vulva, or a life-strong hard-on, or a last pint before closing time. Satori, last shot of spirit. Mouthwash away the motley framework of reality's past while the full lights come on over the circle of servitude. You turn your bar stool over on the counter as a melody of everything starts humming in your throat. You realize the underlying sense in putting on a mindset coat. And as the floor is being swept, the doors are being cleansed, walking out into a glorious night, feeling the noonday sun warming the other side of this rocking mama earth. Just to say, I reckon if, when, and how, let alone why, are great questions that become really interesting when you track their sources. Where is this curiosity coming from that makes us read, investigate, questioning everything and beyond till abundance leads to nihilism and vice versa? Dancing through the streets like toddlers playing in the mud, well aware that a life's grime is washed off in sleep as in death, and therefore consenting to go mud-masked through the social play, making sure not to let the dust settle into a mold. And I ain't got a clue. For real, I ain't got a motherfucking clue. I'm just a pile of fucking questions. And people regularly take notes while I'm conversing with them, but to me that don't imply I'm speaking any kind of truth. It just indicates that whatever came out of my mouth was valuable to their emotional mental conversion processes, aka helping them to change their mind or strengthen some appreciative insights or somehow get a clearer picture, a brighter feel, a more thorough acknowledgement of selves. But that's actually got fuck all to do with me. I'm just talking. They do that to themselves. I'm just talking, hyper-responsive, jesting, suggesting, wondering out loud while wandering through mindscapes where we can meet on similar plane. Night radio subconscious, I guess. I'm curious all the time. I might as well share that then. You know, that's all. That's really just it. Till you start writing books and stepping on stage, confronting the status quo of all alike by bringing evidence of a dynamic that stirs through all of us alike, yet leaves us all uniquely different. Then people see the uncertainty that drives you there as an inversion. They see conviction, power, the drive for change. They feel stimulation. Then some start calling provocation, indignation, and overbearing self-certainty. Oops. AKA you come across exactly the freaking opposite of your experience. How to get passionate from being misconstrued as patronizing. I'm so fucked up with this one at the moment. I mean, that toxic one-way bulldozing mentality is so emasculating. It's without perspectives and laden to bear. Please, no. No more. I mean, it's, you know. There is a difference between patronizing and passionate. And to me, it comes with the relinking to compassion. A shared passion. Not the oh, poor you. That's not compassion, that's the meaning. Compassion is a, hey, no matter who, no matter what, you're breathing, you're looking out, you got your ears open, you got feet, you got hands, you got everything beating in there. So do I. There's a melody in there. There's a melody in here. Let's start humming. Let's see what music we can make. Now I understand how social groups most hurt by centuries of bullyish, dumb dog oppression feel super triggered and tend to reverse the stance. AKA lots of patronizing gays, lots of patronizing women, and even children out there these days. Funny to watch though, often the innocent get the friendly fire. And it's still too easy to get troops for hire. All it costs you is what their fear wants to hear. Thing is, absolute minority is you being you. If we all do that, absolute minority becomes the overall majority. How about that? To me, absolute minority is those that relinquish all in search of everything. Those that drop every status safety parameter, including wearing holy ropes to indicate your position as psychic pioneer. Sure, holy, holy, holy is everything. Holy as rock bitch. Holy as a wool suit or a hat or that perfect pair of jeans. And no, yoga pants don't make you a yogi. They just accentuate the yoni. Some just get shunned by everybody, it seems. Minority needs their outcasts too, apparently. And since the reference frame is based upon generalized patterns, most people try to make you snap the grid, like a mind maze turned fishing net, to pull you out of that stream of consciousness and fillet onto their plate as a fishy subject to debate, spitting the bones they have to pick with their reality back in your face. So dare I equally say, not my jacket, not my face. I'm just talking. To you, myself, and no one in particular. Words and phrasings, particles and waves. Self-realization, like learning to talk till you realize what you're voicing. See, I never reckoned I'd get anywhere with this. Just kind of disagreed with everything. And being born in a world going to shit didn't leave society nor normality with much credentials in my view. To me, it felt god obvious that somewhere in the overall reasonings being passed out, enforced, and rehashed, there were the misconceptions leading to the resulting material mess we trail along as progress. Far from stating I'm the only one, I can only reason and write from my perspectives, and my life is an extremely solitary endeavor. And in regards to my peculiar mix of faculties and disabilities, often a fucking painful and ostracizing experience. I'm not out to top anyone, I'm just keeping head atop shoulders and moving on. Never had much of a memory. Peoples and times spend adrift from my mind whether I like it or not. Like being in the moment instigates a void around the now. All flux in a rhythm coming in on a future breeze rather than echoing through empty corridors filled with portraits and posters of better moments past. No backtracking through the labyrinth, as amazing as the maze may have been so far. As much as I'm thrilled to experience contacts with people, I don't own any friends. And I'm not to be possessed, assumed to act according to whatever primo expectation, mine or anyone else's for that matter. Being indifferent to the fact that you're different is where owning your stage starts. You're only special when fully yourself, and that don't feel particularly special to yourself now, does it? It's just being you. So no fuss. Settle into your bones and figure out how to make that skeleton dance, as macabre as it seems, feels, and is. That old trick of getting a kick not kicked. Just kick it to the sky to see if it'll fail or fly. This idea of being me. I'm sat writing in a smoking room. A smoking room, for you in the future, a smoking room is a place where people go to smoke. Which in the perspectives of tens of thousands of years of tending to and depending on live fire, became sort of the last resort fire ritual in the rise of the electric age, where the elemental power called fire was ripped apart and customized into light switch, cooker, central heating, TV, and yeah, even radio. That crackling backbeat of fire, digesting life, resonating with a digestive fire in the gut, feeding the hunger for procreation in pretty much any shape or form. He writes, ejaculating ink on paper as I ain't touching women for a while now, being divorced and all and feeling kind of pregnant with myself, birthing, breaking cocoons, self-inflicted or not, eggshells, self-created or kept in captivity. I don't need no one to encase my throbbing heart. My ribs are cage enough. Smoking rooms are about to disappear shortly, it seems. Banned for health reasons while cars keep tearing up the tracks. Spraying the world with a dust cloud of fine ground rubber and tarmac. Just to mention one of the plenty other toxifiers in the daily air we breathe. The dust settling in our skin, guts, hearts, and lungs as we lie awake dreaming through the lonely night. 'Cause bars close early these times, and restaurants even earlier. Believed to help force people into being an early rising benevolent workforce for Company X, where failure to comply implies you'll be noted ex-employee soon. A toxic mindset towards survival through bullying and disconnection. I sure hope the future we got drawn into managed to shed. What are you saying? You murdered all the managers 70 centuries ago up to the point the world is but a memory, meaning lost, evaporated through time? Well, let's not get into that. Also, and not in the least, since there are so many forms of managing. Stay searing a company, a car, a vessel, a family, a tribe, a gang, a fluent motion of people, animals, plant life, wildlife, herbs and bacteria, down to the ground, digesting your bones for years to come. Do you manage to live longer than it takes to decay? Or is our offspring eaten, dissolved corpses, compressed to micronewtons for their offspring to eat? Mad human disease, anybody, lurking in the boon of crazy cows, echoing through plagues and tempests' palace? I sure hope not. Electric fire now like flowers soaking in the power of that nearest star, Earth's lover and sun amongst suns, in a galaxy of potential lovers to spin around in a glory dance for eons, feeding eclectic life force to humans in grow rooms and cats watching TV, while we chase shadows in a goldfish bowl full of pills and cornflakes, a drop of acid to come back to Earth with. Meanwhile, water burns like acid on my hide at times, and sure, I'm not alone in that. With this hygiene craze physically washing off that mortal sin embedded in a system that fights the very earth it exists on by fighting the very nature of their existence. In a circle, everything is as left as it is right. And as I watch birds and planes in flight, I can't help but notice it takes two to fly, as it takes two to tango. So in a future where this is lingo, either needed to know is that birds are animals with the ability to propel and stabilize themselves by means of flapping and outstretching two extremities known as wings. Drawing. Birds, simplified version, many, a multitude of variation, some killing other birds. Whereas planes, drawing, simplified version, human-made for transport through the sky, gets tested by shooting dead birds at it to see if it will be strong enough to kill birds while flying and not crash, for the sake of its cargo, not the birds, dead or living. Well, that sums it up. While flying is such a dynamic feet-on-the-ground experience, when you loudly allow your head to break through the clouds, feel that crisp 10,000-meter high icy air tickling clear your throat as you soar upwards from a cosmic dance amongst the stars, simply dreaming, lying happy in your horizontals, sleeping or not. Driven along endless highways, grinding toxic dust into the dirt of time, while the miles grind grooves into your soul. What's your groove? How does that record spin? Gyrating through the universe of personal experience, every outward facet like a fractal reflection of the visitor to your palace of mirrors. They do it with mirrors, the storyteller read, as the inner children slumbered off to dream amongst the clouds reflecting moonshine. That imbibed and drunken beauty of existence that we feast and celebrate with every glass of liquor, beer, and wine we raise. We praise the overall beauty of awesomeness and wit by appeasing the pains and ails with comforting drinks, drugs, talks, and tallyings, runs and rallyings through bedrooms, parks, and corridors, writing life into the bloodstream every pumping pace, Pumps on the pavement jiving through Hope Street and beyond, past the roundabout where once that crossroads between Fear Lane and Instinct Avenue cut thousands of life and costs thousands of traffic deaths. Lives torn to shreds on the bull bars of progress and deafening pursuit. See those homeless as inner city outdoorsers, camping out in the concrete caverns, seeking a windless leeway in the shade of stone trees, crowned with sleeping apartment blocks, alarm clocks set to beat the birds to the earliest song, alarms on doors and windows should more than the wind come rattling your framework, alarming numbers on bills, streets, prognosis, diagnosis, yet less and less bloody noses. Less fights per head on the planet in human form than recently ever, it seems. And thank fuck for that. Literally also. Along with penicillin, water and sewage treatment, and electric light, allowing for 24/7 free-range curiosity, observation, deliberation, seduction, deduction, distillation of each and anything, anyone, bubbly and tenacious enough, can be drawn to. Create a symbiotic correlation with, where moods and ideas, feelings, attractions, and distractions become related like atoms tuned to the same impulse. Rock and roll schematics, mathematical flight of folly, as remorseful rain mercilessly brainwashes the city clean for a virgin crown of dew. Every drop of pearl in the spider web, the necklace, the bodice, the morning sun lighting the dawn like a chalice as I quit this friendly hotel lobby offering coffee at 6 a.m. As it should. Or why is waking through the night so medicated out of contemporary life? It's regarded symptomatic of a general misconception to only look at the light side of life, perhaps? Expecting hot rolls at 7 to appear like manna from heaven amidst a desert of burning ignorance, blinding all to short-sightedness and shivering with the memory of the freezing night ahead? Foresight leading to blindsight for change. Any shadow bringing out the light interminably feared for what it may be imagined to be. As if imagination is ever angst's lifelong slave. Blind ambitious leading lame and tame braves towards an oblivion where at least in a moment of dying we'd all be together. Like what a way to spoil a party, let's all die so no one has to clean up. Screw that attitude. The ricochet of laughter, like a flash over fire burning the static from the cross-conversing crowds. So many topics on an average bar night, bus ride, crisscrossing the ether, that in past not so far behind present, and places not so far off these, would cause imminent death in surprisingly imaginative ways of callous cruelty, tongues cut and faces burned, left out clamped in wood blocks for everyone's daily mock and village-wide gang rape nightly fuck. Fresh ideas like biofruit of mind, too often squashed to oh how sweet jam, stared at like a still life of frozen thought, till melancholy morning again reveals the colors of vitality withered and dull by staccato conformist non-versations, kicked to the ground recklessly climbing the glowing tree, staining the mottled suit wrapped around a turtle-faced fool on the hill, puffing heads and puffing herb and drinking acorn tea, too overwhelmed to face nor speak just one reality. That sure would complicate it all too much. Would, wouldn't. Is that why totalitarianism commits harakiri along with cutting the umbilical cord? And yet some still only cherish the nudity of being the emperor dressed in the slime of licking lackeys, eating through the world like sulfuric acid till the decor melts, burning visionary asceticism, Western-style sidetracks, anorectic system overlap. Yeah, no wonder you go nuts, if that term should exemplify your inner cry. Smack bang through the sonic barrier. I'm alive. That's all you know. Time and time again, that timeless feel. While my body runs on full random where it comes to physical capabilities and ways to circumvent what ails and ways to simulate news coherence between different muscle groups. And it feels differently in the head to move physically to a different logic of rhythm, taking a different stance in the dance, whether on the dance floor, down the half pipe, just as the mountain peaks, sleazy bars, and weirdest places where you go just because certain particles in the atmosphere make the stardust in you glow. Your skin cools as your bones dry and tendons flex with a spring like ever-blossoming fresh bread. Ki hare hare bom shiva tralala. If all is sacred, stop splitting hairs while complaining you're going bald. Shaving armpits like barrio parks. No hairy ball bags in bare-chested vixens bars along now deserted waterfronts. Robot lovers controlling your demodicated mind as many miles from feeling as fear dimes in your digicount. Where is the countess? Charging her batteries on white wine? Would it actually be acidic enough to cause electric reaction? It's sure sour enough to turn many a lover to a prunish demeanor. But then show me love that isn't toxic. Isn't life just to die for? How about you live for it? How about you live for it? I figured. Sometime, somewhen, where the sea carried through the mountains. All this I would die for you. Thanks. Funeral bills, detachment issues, people never shutting up about it. How about live? Because for one, you're alive, so that's handy. And for the rest of all the wackiest stuff that's out there, well, it's also weird, somewhat sick, and sometimes disgusting, etc. We all know it's great if you take fun, like breeding. Not like having in your hand. It's great if you take fun, like breeding, not like having in your hand. It's a dynamic, it's a rhythm, it's a dance. It's a vibe. It's not a static, possessive, statuesque kind of shit thing. Mantras? Pick the first silly, utterly ridiculous phrase that comes up, bubbling up from the loins, and hum bubble bubble double double deedle doodle daddyism babbly boo boo wabbity bam boom bam bay wabbity boo ba ba boo doo ba ba. You're writing religion and you're writing jazz. And yeah, just take that rhythm of sound, that riddle in the riddle, that dying breath over what she said over and over till you hear the notes plucking the strings in midair beyond time. Outstretch the muses like birds fly over and shit on our lutes and lusts, our furies and fiddles, our cocks and caons, our vulvas and violoncellos, our moonstruck love, making us feeling pulled along. In a jolly cosmic dance, maypole or merry-go-round, split-second trauma trespassing or roller coaster. Same thing, different. And that's the fun, because same thing different is like saying dogs is dogs, innit? Yeah, but not because atoms be atoms, because it takes all different combinations of all different stuff. Whether cooking, shagging, building, or decomposing a house of structure or yourselves. We are overlapping ecosystems, as are our societies. Sonic mindset barriers between clubs and heads, bars and caged minds, setting their probabilities in pool triangulations. And if the black ain't the last ball to roll home, you lose it. White ball getting all the hits for calling all the shots, rolling all over like the shepherd's mirror, chasing all spheres to their world home, while all the costs necessitated to not enter anywhere. Trigonometry of being. Rolling on instigation, avoiding destination. Gyro-tuned calibration of vibes to surf on the beaches of Skull Cave, wave to wave, fashion to fashion. Being single ain't half as bad once you figured out how much other stuff you can do whilst obsessing over partners, sex, anything really. That mix of mind responsive like overview crossing a digipathway or a game zone. Simply life, flatline. Simple life, flatland, can't fucking read this. Crossroads, remember them. Black, white, stripe by side. Then few white lines across that endless road. Tarmac snakes across overlit mountains. Snakes of sure and studied thought cut through green lands of wild peace and hairy wavy bushes, brambling, babbling on with thorny recollections, sweet empowerment, humorous sting, saying my berries, your blood, same make, same color. Let's sow filaments of laughter from dancing hands and ejaculating sexes. Fertilize the earth, motherfuckers. Go pick a tree to caress your bones. Roots and vertebrae unite in a grip of realization as the little rainworms cute as fuck discover how to slide down your curvy ribs. Little cured blood pudding to chew on. What that creature been eating? Let's contact its spirit by eating it. Find out. Like tapping the door by ingestation or atmo communication. Verifiably easier in this frame where digi-networks connect electronets to divert their power through an even and stable grid till we feel thoughts fly across cell phones, phone cells creating sensor cells, typo, sensor cells. Sensing helps to make sense of it all. Sensible, sensual, sex you all. Don't nature turn you on? Just the sheer immensity of it? I see patterns in so many forms recollecting and reshaping. How far from insect instinct is our waste cycling still? Here on our Cityjungle forest floor where households debris like flotsam floats round on midnight breezes and your couples and young couples, trios, vagabonds, and shikayos alike rummaging, foraging, scavenging for fallen fruits and tainted berries, making chairs with 3 different legs for the transnational generations of now, and then the future sucks you in. Which timelines do you wrap into shibari? Momentary bliss of suspension in midair, hovering over thought lines, mountains, hugging trees, laughing, smiles like autumn leaves and jungle dreams, drifting not adrift, drifting not adrift. Drift, the drum, the riff, drifting, the drum, the riff, the motley blues, the dust-torn shoes. The use, dust beyond everything, the noise of now, ever breeding in the skies of Mother Earth, gyrating thought waves in her spin. If you want to think, that is, 'cause with a jive-ass mother hip a fucking planet like this, and only this one underneath your hoochie hiney, why waste time when you can dance? Even dendrites love the quick step, and an irregular headbang too. You know, living gets you kind of loopy, and you beat as you breathe till your groove spirals out in dub-dub-doob-de-doo. Kick it to the sky just to see if it'll fall or fly. This idea of being me. See, me is a form, and recognizing the flow ain't no feat to crack the vessel, the cup, the mirror when your game is up. Did you enjoy hunting yourself through the wild unknown? Sitting quietly, subway style, Aikido social. Never touch beyond the force field, always go beyond the norm. It's naught but that latest recollection, hungry for more, like wailing babies, seductive shorelines and curvy tight angles. From jazz to punk, from wave, with a roundabout pop stop for a leak and a laugh and a pint and a half, and fusing through the dark metal heat, world music to muzak, voicing the streets' heartbeats. That tramline sounds like an arrhythmia every day around 9 a.m. Traffic jams in the arteries where beefed up lorries cart off the burnt grease from kitchen and parlor. Wipe your mouth, give me a shout, where's that body of yours? Beating footsteps in the pavement. Sidewalk, sidestep, sidekick, ain't dead yet. Sidewalk, straight talk, round the block, not the about. Don't shout, not after midnights, then everything takes out their earplugs, while deafened traffic wardens switch on gen tanks on the black market. Smokeless tarmac. So much gets lost in translations when the rhythm is unaccounted for. Try find the silences, they know the beats. Try find the silences, they know the beats. Thanks for listening. That was it. Poetry is shadow boxing with ink-stained gloves. Ink for blood. Have a good one.